everybody, welcome back to C&S Corvettes in beautiful Sarasota, Florida. Once again, this is your Corvette buddy Lyle, L-Y-L-E, not Kyle, Lyle. Here to talk to you about some interesting things. Today we're going to cover a subject. I'm going to hit the bullet points on the differences between the different types of batteries you can use in your Corvette or your muscle car or your boat or whatever. I get this question a lot. What batteries do you recommend? What batteries do you recommend? And I'll get to my recommendations, but first let me go through and discuss with you the three different types of batteries that are the most common used in Corvettes and high performance cars. Number one is the regular lead acid battery, or what they call the flooded battery. So basically this is a plastic tub with thin lead plates suspended in it, and then they fill it with sulfuric acid and water, which the combination of which they call the electrolyte, and the electrolyte and the lead reacts, and that's what gives you your power. Okay, that fluid is free flowing, so when you've got a regular lead acid battery and you slosh it around, you can hear water moving around in it. They are the least expensive type of battery, the ones that we would call a traditional battery. There used to be a time when you probably remember this when you were younger, you'd take the little plugs off and fill the water in the battery. Most of them are sealed today. Very few are still refillable. They are the least expensive version that you can buy for your car. And they, on the upside, can be discharged up to 80% without damaging the life of the battery, which is really good. The downside, of course, is they can leak because it is just a plastic tub full of water and acid. Those start to go bad, you'll start to see them kind of swell on the sides, and they will swell before they leak. So when you're checking your oil, when you're checking your coolant, when you're under the hood detailing the car, always take a look at your battery and make sure that the sides are still perfectly straight up and down and that it isn't starting to deform. If it's starting to deform, it's time for a new battery. That's lead acid or flooded batteries. Second one that I hear about a lot are the AGM, or the absorbed glass mat batteries. They're still a plastic tub with lead plates suspended in it with sulfuric acid and water, which is the electrolyte, but they have the addition of a silica gel that is put into that solution, which when it comes in contact with that electrolyte solidifies into a more or less stationary substance. It doesn't flop or flow around like that. It's pretty much solid state. The advantages, they're spill proof. You can't make them leak. They have a higher voltage output in short bursts than a lead acid battery. They tend to be used more often in boats, motorcycles, things like that, that don't get started and cranked over and over and over and over like a car does. Because if you're doing a bunch of short trips in a day in your car and you got an AGM battery, you may not be going far enough to give your alternator a chance to refresh that battery before it's demanded to crank the car again, especially in a cold condition. They, of course, cost a great deal more than leaded acid batteries. The downsides to these are they require a special battery charger. Not a lot of people realize that. AGM and gel cell batteries, which we'll get to in a minute, require a special battery charger. If you put your regular battery charger on an AGM or a gel cell battery, there's a very good chance you're going to overcharge and kill it, or undercharge and cause oxidation on the plates, and you will lose half of your power and it'll get worse from there. That said, it is also important to note that you can only discharge an AGM battery 50% before you run the risk of damaging it. Again, that's opposed to 80% on the traditional lead acid battery, okay? Third is the gel cell battery. Most people are familiar with Optima. If you do anything with boats, anything with race cars, anything with high performance stuff, Optima is like the name to have. Gel cell batteries are, advantages wise, maintenance free. They have a valve regulated flow in there, so while the liquid is allowed to flow, it is controlled. It isn't just sloshing around everywhere. Silica gel mixes with electrolyte to form a stationary gelatinous substance, much like the AGM, but without any fiberglass matting being introduced. This is actually just a chemical reaction that occurs. They are very good about not wearing out electrodes or contacts. The downsides. high cost. They are usually the most expensive battery you can possibly find. They need a special charger, kind of like I talked about with the AGM. Overcharging will absolutely kill a gel cell battery every time. And if you discharge it 50% or more, and I mean like 48%, it's pretty much the end of the battery. They don't like discharging. They don't like overcharging. And the bigger problem for us specifically here in Florida is that they don't like hot temperatures. Hot temperatures tend to solidify and harden that gel inside, so it doesn't really move around, and it starts to solidify so much that it's not moving enough to provide active connection with the lead plates, if that makes sense. Once it hardens, it loses a lot of its efficiency. So, to review, lead acid battery, least expensive, most simple, but also most possible to leak and cause problems, especially if you own a Corvette and the GM engineers were brilliant enough to locate that battery directly above your engine control module, your main ground, and all of the main junctions in your wiring harness. Oh, they wouldn't do that, you say. Yeah, they did. They did, actually, a lot. You have the AGM, or absorbed glass mat battery, which is a kind of halfway point between a lead acid and a gel cell, in that it is still a lead acid battery, but they have these mats of spongy fiberglass that kind of restricts flow and solidifies everything in there. And then you got the gel cell that is truly a gelatinous substance with a silica gel. So now back to my question that I get all the time. Which battery should I put in my Corvette? Where do you live? First question every time, where do you live? If you live anywhere south of Tennessee, anywhere south of Nebraska, anywhere where temperatures regularly get up over 90 degrees and stay there over the summer, I don't like gel cell batteries for those. I'm not a real fan of AGM batteries for that temperature, because both of those don't like high temps. You get those batteries hot, especially the gel battery, and you're going to do serious damage to it. And especially when you're paying big dollars for something like that, it really stinks to just have your natural environment be the thing that kills it. I still, for our area and for the cars that we see the most often, which is C3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I still prefer just the regular flooded battery. We here at C&S Corvettes always use the 5-year interstates. I've had excellent luck with them. We've tried a bunch of different batteries over the years. I mean, we've been doing this a long time. We had a contract with AC Delco at one point. AC Delco batteries were, at that time at least, utter garbage. They went bad sitting on the rack. Exide, about the same thing. I don't like any of the batteries that you buy from the parts stores. I go directly to the interstate dealer here in Sarasota. They come, I call, they deliver a 5-year battery. I've had one battery from Interstate in the last 7 years, one that wasn't happy, and I think that had a lot to do with the charging system on the car. But they've been really, really good to us. They are not terribly expensive, and they're really good about their warranty too. So for my choice, I'm going with a regular lead acid battery. Depends on where you are and what you're doing with the car. But that's my information for you on the battery choices available, types of batteries, and what I would choose for my car. If you have questions or comments, please leave them down here and I will get to them as quickly as possible. I do make an effort to read and at least shortly reply to everyone. If you have a more detailed question, email me the detailed question at lyle@corvettepartscenter.com, and as soon as time allows, I will get back to you. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week.